is the Conservative member of the European Parliament and leading Eurosceptic, Daniel Hannan. Thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Morning, Adam.
You're obviously in a different parliament, but do you think the meaningful vote should go ahead tomorrow?
Yes, I do. I don't see any purpose in deferring it, but I think we need to follow through the consequences. If Parliament rejects this deal, then there needs to be a radically different approach. If this deal can't go through, then either we leave with no deal or we try something completely different.
A lot of your colleagues on the Leave side are saying, well, if you have to leave with no deal in 18 days' time, then so be it. What do you say to that?
Well, I think that would be a sad comment on some spectacular missed opportunities over the last 30 years. I think we've handled these negotiations abysmally, almost from the beginning. And the reason we've done so is because we've gone into them wanting to get something called a deal, without really being that interested in what the contents of the deal are. It's almost as though even now Leave voters are still being subtly patronised. It's as though the view is that as long as something comes back that has Brexit written on the side in big, bright, shiny letters, that's all that anyone's interested in. And I really don't think that is the view of most Leavers, and it certainly isn't the view of Remainers. There are better and worse forms of Brexit. There are some that are worse than staying in, and we've gone for about the worst one of all. I can't see any situation where any sovereign country would accept the regulatory annexation of part of its territory, and then the perpetual control of its trade by somebody else.
You see, there are those who say, well, no deal is actually what people voted for. Jacob Rees-Mogg and the ERG are right. But then you, as someone who, as you know, has long discussed this possibility, have at times entertained the idea of staying in the single market. So is it fair to say what the 17.4 million voted for was a no-deal Brexit?
There are 17.4 million, so of course they didn't all vote for the same thing, just as people who want to stay in the EU have different views about how that should evolve. I think it is true that if we had gone for an EFTA-type deal at the beginning, that would have been a way of bringing together the 52% and the 48%. It would have been an altogether easier negotiation. We'd have got over the difficulties long ago, and we'd now be looking at a permanent trade deal. For whatever reason, that well, more than accepted it. I mean, I was pushing for that before, during and after the campaign. And I think, given where we are now, I can't imagine that there is a single Leave voter, or indeed a single Remain voter, who regards what is now on the table, this permanent transition, this handover of the money, continuing role for the ECJ, annexation of Northern Ireland, control of our trade after we leave. I can't believe that anyone would regard that as better than having gone for a Swiss-type relationship in the first place. But we are where we are, and sadly, my pro-EFTA position was kind of shot down by both sides. If the choice is between what is now on the table and leaving without the EU's permission, right? Because that's what no deal means. It just means leaving without the EU's permission. Then I think we should leave and strike out on our own, because what is being put on the table is vindictive and aggressive, and it is much better not to give in to blackmail.
You would like a delay so that we can think about all the options.
Well, my preferred option, I mean, if I'm ranking my hierarchy of goals, I mean, you know, as I say, I would have ideally liked a Swiss-type deal. Given where we now are, right at the bottom of my hierarchy of preferred outcomes would be first no deal, then staying in and negotiating further, and then, last of all, right at the bottom, accepting a deal where, even after we leave, we allow our economy, the 5th biggest in the world, to become just a bargaining chip for EU negotiators so that we remain a captive market for their exporters.
Daniel Hannan MEP, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Much more to come.